God versus the devil, America's minister versus America's pimp. Today is the showdown. Many were surprised by the High Court's decision to hear Larry Flynt's case, but he had some unlikely supporters filing briefs on his behalf, like the New York Times, the American Newspaper Publishers Association, and the Association of American Editorial...
All rise. The Honorable, the Chief Justice, and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Oyez, oyez, oyez. All persons having business before the Honorable, the Supreme Court of the United States, are admonished to draw near and give their attention, for this court is now sitting. God save the United States and the Supreme Court.
We'll hear the argument first this morning in number 86-1278, Hustler Magazine and Larry C. Flynt versus Jerry Falwell. Mr. Isaacman, you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. One of the most cherished ideas that we hold in this country is that there should be uninhibited public debate and freedom of speech. Now, the question you have before you today is whether a public figure's right to protection from emotional distress should outweigh the public interest in allowing every citizen of this country to freely express his views.
But what was the view expressed in Exhibit A?
Well, to begin with, this is a parody of a known Campariad.
I understand. Go ahead.
Okay. Also, and more importantly, it was a satire of a public figure, of Jerry Falwell, who in this case was really a prime candidate for such a satire because he's such an unlikely person to appear in a liquor ad. This is a person that we are used to seeing at the pulpit, Bible in hand, preaching with a famously beatific smile on his face.
But what is the public interest you're describing? That there is some interest in making him look ludicrous?
Yes, Your Honor, there is a public interest in making Jerry Falwell look ludicrous, insofar as there is a public interest in having Hustler magazine express the point of view that Jerry Falwell is full of BS. And Hustler magazine has every right to express this view. They have the right to say that somebody who has campaigned actively against our magazine, who has told people not to buy it, who has publicly said that it poisons the minds of Americans, who in addition has told people that sex out of wedlock is immoral, that they shouldn't drink. Hustler magazine has a First Amendment right to publicly respond to these comments by saying that Jerry Falwell is full of BS. It says, let's deflate this stuffed shirt and bring him down to our level. Our level, in this case, being admittedly a lower level than most people would like to be brought to. I apologize. I know I'm not supposed to joke, but that's sort of the point.
But Mr. Isaacman, the First Amendment is not everything. I mean, it's a very important value, but it's not the only value in our society. What about another value which says that good people should be able to enter public life and public service? The rule you give us says that if you stand for public office or become a public figure in any way, you cannot protect yourself, or indeed your mother, against a parody if you're committing incest with her in an outhouse. Now, do you think that George Washington would have stood for public office if that was the consequence?
It's interesting that you mentioned George Washington, Justice Scalia, because very recently I saw a political cartoon that's over 200 years old. It depicts George Washington riding on a donkey, being led by a man, and the caption suggests that this man is leading an ass to Washington.
I can handle that. I think George can handle that. But that's a far cry from committing incest with your mother in an outhouse. I mean, there's no line between the two?
No, Justice Scalia, I would say there is no line between the two, because really what you're talking about is a matter of taste and not law. As you yourself said, I believe, in Pope versus Illinois, it's useless to argue about taste and even more useless to litigate it. And that is the case here. The jury has already determined for us that this is a matter of taste and not a matter of law. because they've said that there is no libelous speech, that nobody could reasonably believe that Hustler was actually suggesting that Jerry Falwell had sex with his mother.
So why did Hustler have him and his mother together?
Hustler puts him and his mother together in a example of literary travesty, if you will.
And what public purpose does this serve?
Well, it serves the same public purpose as having Gary Trudeau say that Reagan has no brain or that George Bush is a wimp. It lets us look at public figures a little bit differently. We have a long tradition in this country of satiric commentary. Now, if Jerry Falwell can sue when there has been no libelous speech purely on the grounds of emotional distress, then so can other public figures. And imagine, if you will, suits against people like Gary Trudeau and Johnny Carson for what he says on the Tonight Show tonight. Obviously, when people criticize public figures, they're going to experience emotional distress. We all know that. It's the easiest thing in the world to claim, and it's impossible to refute, and that's what makes it a meaningless standard. Really, all it does is allow us to punish unpopular speech. And this country is founded, at least in part, on the firm belief that unpopular speech is absolutely vital to the health of our nation.
Thank you, Mr. Isaacman.
Reverend, are you confident that you will win this case?
Absolutely. There's no way the Supreme Court will come down on the side of a sleaze merchant like Larry Flint.
Mr. Keating, why are you here today?
To show support for those people who believe that pornography should be outlawed.
Because if the First Amendment will protect a, what did Grutman call me?
Scumbag.
Scumbag like me, well, then it'll protect all of you. Because I'm the worst.
Larry, do you have any regrets?
Only one.
Larry? Larry? Larry?
Hello.
It's Alan. They just brought the decision in.
Well, is it good or bad?
Well, it's a unanimous decision, Larry, and Rehnquist wrote it himself.
Is it good or bad?
Yeah, I want you to hear this. At the heart of the First Amendment is the recognition of the fundamental importance of the free flow of ideas. Freedom to speak one's mind is not only an aspect of individual liberty, but essential to the quest for truth and the vitality of society as a whole. In the world of debate about public affairs, many things done with motives that are less than admirable are nonetheless protected by the First Amendment.
So we won.
Yes, we did. We won.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
Don't mention it.
We won, baby. Strip for me, baby.
Why?
So when you're old and ugly, you can look back at this.
I'm never gonna be old and ugly, Larry. You're gonna be old and ugly.